Hello and welcome everybody to Minnebar. You have made it here to the rise of the creative technologist. How are you feeling today? I'm sorry, I don't think I can hear you. How are you feeling today? Oh, that was sick. Thank you guys. Amazing. Okay. So today we are going to be going through a brand new talk that I finished roughly 20 minutes ago. We're gonna see how it goes. It's gonna be fast paced. We have a lot of slides. If I'm going too fast, just tell me, because sometimes I go too fast and my husband will make fun of me afterwards. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about the rise of creative technologists. Who here came to this same talk last year? Can you raise your hands? Okay, just a handful of people. How many people, this is like your first time here? Yeah. How many people have never been to Minnebar before? Wow, welcome. Are you guys having the best time? Oh my gosh, Minnebar is just the absolute best time. It's so much fun, it's so chill, and everybody's just really nice and fun. And remember, you are more than allowed to escape as soon as you realize what a shit show this talk is. But in the meantime, let's just get things rolling. So today we're going to talk about why creative technologists are becoming the next tech giants. And more importantly, why we need them now more than ever. Yeah, round of applause, says Deb. Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Carolyn Holden. I have done a lot of things in my life and career and things. Most recently, my most recent full-time job, I helped sell a data AI startup to Snowflake. We have people recording, so I can't tell you for how much. Sorry. I've also helped scale a grocery delivery app 10,000% year over year during the first 3 months of the pandemic, which is absolutely bananagrams. I ran Twin Cities Startup Week. How many people have been to Twin Cities Startup Week before? Yeah, we got some people. It's super fun. And these days I run a new group in town called Minnesota Women in AI. Where am I? Yes, those are my Minnesota Women in AI ladies. They are incredible, and we're actually going to hear about them in the talk. It's going to be so fun. I also run Swift Start Go, which is a weird mishmash of a media company where I talk about AI, creativity, and the future of work, and also sometimes do consulting. Yes, you too can hire me for things. I do like money, so please come find me afterwards. And it's true, the rumors are true. I did used to be a comedian in New York for 6 years back in the day. So yes, we're gonna have fun today. So today we're gonna talk about, again, why are creative technologists going to be the next tech giants? Now, how many people in here are engineers? Some, okay, cool. How many people are like in marketing or something like that? All right, what about sales? Operations? What do other people do? HR. I knew it. Thanks, Deb. All right. So today, the reason why we're big believers here that creatives are going to be the next tech giants, right, is because today nearly anyone can build any software with AI without coding. Now, granted, engineers are still needed for highly technical work and cybersecurity and things like that. Very important that we have really talented people who understand these systems really, really well. But these autonomous AI systems are improving incredibly quickly. And we now have the ability to do things like build agentic systems, these autonomous systems that write new code, double check their work, add cybersecurity afterwards, and do a pretty good job, right? So this stuff is changing quickly, and it's changing faster than ever. But with these changes, I do think that this means that there's going to be a surge in a new kind of builder, whether it is building software, businesses, or other things, which we'll get into. Now, and part of this is also, I'm a big believer that AI works best when used by people with lots of ideas, excellent communication skills, critical thinking skills, and great taste. These are the most important skills in the future if you are building. And the reason why is because if you're using these systems, it's all about having good communication and making sure not only the people around you understand what's going on, not only do your customers understand, but that your AI systems understand what it is that you're building, right? So today we're gonna have a quickie little definition. This one's from the internet. It defines creative technologists as professionals who combine creativity and technical expertise to create innovative solutions across multiple digital platforms. This is a very vague term, and depending on who you talk to, some of them like the term, some of them don't like the term, but I like to use it as a way to just kind of express this revolution that we're seeing, this creative renaissance that we're seeing of really inherently creative people, no matter what their role is, really rocketing their careers forward, right? And what I think really makes creative technologists is having this particular mindset. It's very entrepreneurial, right? Having the ability to learn and adapt quickly, understand where the puck is going and heading straight towards it. Also, creative problem solvers. Are you somebody who is really good at solving problems? Maybe you have a good eye for design, right? You know what people are looking for or how to make things look really cool, who deeply understands their audience. We're looking for effective communicators who can bridge the gap between tech and everybody else, right? So, frankly, I think many people have these abilities. If you're an engineer, don't worry. I think that you have the ability to be a creative technologist. You probably already are, right? We're talking, I see creative technologists being UX designers, product managers, engineers, fine artists, even filmmakers, crazy old retired comedians like me, musicians, content creators, or marketers, creative directors, salespeople, operators. Oh, look, there was supposed to be something here. I missed it. Embarrassing. But again, this is less to do with your skill set and more with how you approach solving problems, right? So, and now with AI, we have so many cool new tools that we get to utilize and so many that have changed rapidly since the last time I was on this stage last year. So we're gonna go through these just really quick. So vibe coding, who here has heard of vibe coding? Almost everyone, but not everyone. So vibe coding is just the process of building apps, websites, or systems, AI systems with simple instructions. I mean, saying, hey, robot, build me website about marketing, or hey, robot, build me website for my photography shop so that people can buy my photography prints, right? You don't need to necessarily code if you want to build the very first version, your MVP of a startup or something like that. Or even if you're doing, the first draft of code that you're putting together when you're working on a project, right? And so a year ago, where we were at was some vibe coding systems were out, and some people were using them, but they frankly weren't working super well for engineers. A lot of people were copying and pasting code from chatbots and putting it into systems to, skip some steps. And some systems were integrated, but were used by a mix of engineers or a bunch of non-engineers, but it was still kind of this weird thing, right? Now, anyone can build apps, websites, or new kinds of AI systems, no matter what your skill level is, right? Can engineers do more and better? Yes, but anybody has the ability to build in this new environment. If you want to try some tools, Lovable is a great tool for non-techies. If you've never done this before, you're like, what the heck is it? It's so easy. And Claude Code is currently one of the big popular ones that people are talking about all the time. And I see some people in the audience here who are looking for places to sit. So if some of you are, now that you've been here for a bit, you're like, okay, I'm sticking around for this. If you guys could scooch in a little bit, I would appreciate it. We also have some room in the front row for anybody brave enough to come anywhere near little old me, my God. Next we have AI agents. Who here has heard of AI agents? A lot of people, but still not everybody, right? So this is why we have the slides in here. So AI agents are autonomous AI systems that can complete digital tasks and make decisions with or without any human involvement. Now, you may have heard of automations. Automations, they typically, like, you can program it so it sends an email at this time, and it sends a follow-up, and then it sends a follow-up, and suddenly you got 30 emails from the same company all trying to bother you to buy their services, right? Totally annoying, right? Agentic AI agents are not those types of systems that just do the same thing over and over again. They have the ability to make decisions and do things like go on the internet and buy you something, or do research for you and look in a variety of different places, realize that this website's broken and keep going, right? So that's kind of the key difference there with AI agents. Now, last year, there were many agentic systems that were struggling to gain traction. The one that comes to mind most for me is Manus, which was a really popular Chinese AI agent system. People were talking about that in the early days, and Meta, formerly known as Facebook, actually bought Manus. But many of these systems were really slow, and a lot of these AI agents really struggled with the concept of computer mice. They were really good at working with text, but when it came to clicking on something, oof, that was a challenge. Now, by December, a startup called OpenClaw, which, yes, it had like 5 names at one point, just ignore that part. Now it's just OpenClaw. But OpenClaw took the world by storm in December and started really building much more sophisticated AI agents that have the ability to go out into the universe and do things. You may have heard about AI bots talking to each other on social media on a platform called Moltbook. A lot of them came from OpenClaw. Are they sentient? Who knows? Ooh, spooky. And now OpenClaw was built by a user who was using Anthropic's Claude Code, which is a vibe coding system, right? Anthropic's a big competitor for OpenAI, in case anybody's out of the loop. And since Claude saw what they were able to do with OpenClaw, they built Claude Cowork, which is more of a non-technical way to build some of these AI agentic systems. Now, these AI agents are still hard to control. They have a habit of deleting everything on your computer, so approach them with caution. But what they are able to do now, compared to the last time I was on this stage, has dramatically changed, right? AI in design, a few things have changed here. I'm gonna race through this one. Last year, ChatGPT was the main places to do images. I think it maybe was still called DALL-E. And Nano Banana from Google Gemini did not exist. And everybody used Gamma for their presentations last year. I'm still using it, but I like to be a little bit behind the curve. But 2 weeks ago, Claude launched a new program called Claude Design, which is supposed to be incredible. I have not played with it yet. Again, I like to procrastinate, but you can now create designs for apps, decks, websites, and even apparently you can create video animations on there. This stuff is getting wild, everybody. Deb says it's amazing and addictive. Proceed with caution, everyone. Proceed with caution. Listen, Deb knows all over here. All right. In addition, Claude and ChatGPT can integrate with a lot of the Adobe suite. In some cases, it's not necessarily very good, but you can kind of do video editing with these systems, which is kind of bananagrams. And Figma and Canva are now racing to continue to implement more AI integrations. There's a lot of talk about whether Claude Design is going to take over all of these different systems, because frankly, it's that much easier to use. Granted, if you do use it, it uses up a lot of tokens, and that costs a lot of money. So, AI in filmmaking. I promise we're almost done with this list. So last year, we had early versions of OpenAI's Sora and Google's Veo, which was making good but not great AI video with no audio capabilities, right? It was just people moving around or things moving around, right? No more. Since then, Sora 2, OpenAI's Sora 2, swarmed the internet with infinite amounts of deepfakes, including Jake Paul doing makeup. Google's Veo 3 took the lead, bringing in audio for the very first time, but then OpenAI in a plot twist, OpenAI shut down Sora and canceled $1 billion deal with Disney, which is absolutely bananas. And if you haven't already, I need you to Google this. Please take a photo of this. You will love it. This is an AI-generated movie trailer called Pie Hard of Neil deGrasse Tyson, and literally everyone is in it. Even Zoran Mamdani makes an appearance. It is amazing, it is crazy, and it's terrifying what we are able to create right now, okay? So make sure you watch that. And the last thing I'm gonna say here, which is a little bit different, AI dictation is becoming really popular. Who here is using like an AI dictation tool at work? Got a bunch, but not everybody. So basically, you can now talk to your computer for prompting or for writing or for anything. It's becoming a really, really big deal among really big AI nerds. Whisperflow is a really popular one, and I was trying to find a nice visual that wasn't just the logo, and the only one I got was Stephen Bartlett, the podcast guy. I don't really know much about him, but he's apparently an investor, so that's neat. So how has this changed creative industries? A lot of ways. Some of the crazy parts about publishing here. So there was an increase of 32% increase in books that were published between 2024 and 2025. And that increase is very likely because people are generating books with AI, which is really crazy. Do we want this? Do we not? And on top of that, some of these books, most of them by authors who are also using AI extensively, are starting to rank in the top 10 on Amazon Books in different sections, especially like the romance section and things like that. It is really, really crazy. I watched an author present about this recently, and it was absolutely wild. And in addition, we're seeing a lot of job loss in publishing, especially in book translation and for illustrators as people start to use more AI generation in those spaces. And in Hollywood, we have the same thing going on. There's a general unease. There's been massive layoffs. Entire like creative and design teams from Marvel were just fired like a few days ago, which is really crazy. Top voice actors are leaving the industry. Again, I used to work in comedy. I have a friend who is one of the top voice actors for advertising in the world. He has now left the industry and is looking for new types of work, a whole new career. So this is really affecting people's lives in these spaces, right? And this has led to a really big backlash among these communities of people really hating AI. You may or may not have seen online people getting really upset about this, especially in Hollywood and publishing, so much so that they, turned on America's sweetheart, Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon went online 2 weeks ago, you may have seen this, to say, hey, we need to get more ladies learning about AI, and the internet was not happy about that. So, and a lot of it is because those are the spaces she's coming from, right? These creative spaces that are really not happy about AI. And then in advertising and marketing, we've seen major, major changes, including in special effects or in things like animatics, which used to be made to make rough drafts of what ads are going to look like. Things have been crazy town, everybody. So, got through some tools. We got through some of the big industry changes. But how are this sounds like terrible news, Carolyn, right? How are creative technologists becoming the next tech giants of today? Well, I'm so glad you asked. First things first, I'm gonna share a few stories. Some of them are people I know, some of them are people on the internet, and some are from big companies. So this first one is from a person I know, my buddy Dave Spector. My buddy Dave Spector is out in New York. He used to be a film professor at NYU. He has worked on a variety of film projects for well over a decade, maybe like almost 20 years, something like that. And he was really struggling in the last couple of years to find consistent work and was considering leaving New York. And then he decided to break into making AI videos. He got really excited about the tech. He now has a new job. He built this whole new studio. He worked on all these things, and he just got nominated for a Webby. All right, this is really incredible stuff. This is a guy who really understands filmmaking, and because he really understands filmmaking, he's able to use AI tools for filmmaking really, really well, and with deep levels of expertise, right? And that's really, really neat. That said, I don't think that all creative work has to be AI generated. That's not really my thing, right? I'm a big fan of authenticity and making things myself. That's a bias that I have, but when you think about craft, right? Like, let's say you have a bunch of filmmakers who are really, really excited about making films, but they can't break into Hollywood because Hollywood's only interested in making Marvel films. And, the businesses have been dying for 20 years, folks, right? We now have the ability for creative people who maybe still want to make things by hand, who still want to make things the old-fashioned way, who now have the ability to learn business skills for the very first time and to understand how these systems work so that they can go around them. And a great example of this is these guys, Camp Studios. These are a group of filmmakers. I believe they're out of Austin. They're a bunch of content creators. They're all 22 or something like that. All right. And they had been making content online. They had been getting a really big audiences and they were making really beautiful quality stuff. And they were like, man, I wish we could make films, but Hollywood won't take us seriously. So they were able to create super, super dirt cheap, low budget films, go around the studios because they didn't want to work with them and the studios didn't want to work with them either. And they managed to 10x their returns and getting those movies in theaters. Filling them up. It was really, really incredible stuff, right? Now, do I know that they used AI in the back end? I'm not sure, but they did make some ads for Claude, so I suspect they did. But we're also going to be seeing a lot new types of roles and multi-hyphenate careers. Think people who are doing a wide variety of different things, maybe creative portfolio careers is something you've heard of. So I have a few examples here which are kind of fun. These first two are AI content creator people who then are also doing other things. So this is Cat GPT. First of all, great name. Second of all, she's been a content creator, an entrepreneur, all these things. She was getting a lot of views for talking about how to get people offline and, not go doom scrolling and all that stuff. She started making these physical phones that looked like, old rotary phones or phones from the 90s, these physical phones, right? And basically connecting them via Bluetooth to your cell phone so that you could just stay away from your screen, and if you had a call, quickly answer it. And they became really popular. I believe in 3 months they hit over 1 million in sales after launching, right? Totally bananas things. She did all of the business systems using AI systems, right? Building the website, figuring out all the integrations, doing all of the marketing, things like that. Really sweet stuff. And now with those funds, she's building a creator-first product studio to take AI and physical products and figure out how to scale new businesses. That's being built out in LA. It's really sweet. We also have Shay, and both of these ladies actually were featured by Reese Witherspoon when she got canceled. But Shay is an AI and humanities content creator, and she's a big believer that AI and the humanities, the people who work in humanities or who work in research in those spaces are going to be incredibly important. Why? Because we need more data to train these models. And who owns that data? Universities, academics, people who are making high quality stuff. It's really important if we want to build bigger and better models. And so she's teaching academics to embrace AI and figuring out how they can scale into more of these portfolio careers, figuring out how to make content, how to sell things to AI, and how to, do more than just be a tenure track professor, right? Really cool stuff. We also have new different types of people who are getting involved in building these AI systems themselves. So we've got a philosopher, somebody with a PhD in philosophy from Scotland, this gal Amanda, who works at Anthropic, and her job is to build Claude's constitution, called Constitution AI, to teach Claude what is good, what is bad, and how it should behave around people. And she's in charge of that as a philosopher. Right? Isn't that neat? And I met this other gal, Lauren, last year in Boston. She is a poet, and she worked at Google for many years helping build and design Gemini's personality. So if we think about who is even needed to design these models themselves and how to curate them and really refine them, yes, we have engineers, but we also have poets and philosophers. And I think that's just absolutely incredible. But if we think about this, if we think about all these different types of careers that are going to come out of nowhere, one of the things I like to think about is when social media first launched. I can't remember who the guy was because he's no longer important, but there was a producer in Hollywood who went online, who at some conference, somebody was asking him, oh, do you see YouTube? Do you see social media as a threat? And he said, oh, no way. It's not like, it's really rare to have a good singer. It's really rare to have a good actor. It's not like there's a really good singer in every single town who's filming videos in their bedroom. Literally 2 months later, Justin Bieber showed up. As a kid, singing onto YouTube in his bedroom, and Usher found him and brought him, and now he's the baby we all know and occasionally love. I don't know how we feel about Justin Bieber these days, but we're talking about. So we've talked about that, right? We've talked about some independence, but let's talk about big corporate. What can we do in big corporate without just firing everybody, right? To figure out how can we allow creative technologists to do bigger, better, cooler things. So we're going to talk about IKEA. Who knows where I'm going with this? Can you raise your hand if you heard this IKEA story? Oh, like 4 people. I think I told half of you. So IKEA launched a customer support bot that eliminated 47% of the work that their support team was supposed to be working on. That's pretty wild, especially for a big company like IKEA. But did they fire everybody? Oh, sorry, missed one. No, they did not fire everybody. Instead, what they did was they upskilled 8,500 of their employees and taught them to become interior design specialists and brought in $1.4 billion in revenue. It turns out that a lot of people were reaching out to customer support to ask, do you think this color couch is going to look prettier in my living room or this one? Well, what about this paint color? Do you think that would look great? There are all these people reaching out to IKEA every day asking, what should I do here? And they were able to upskill all of these people, get them cool new jobs as interior designers, my God, and build a whole new platform where people can play around with it. This is crazy stuff. Right? And so when I hear about people saying, oh, we're going to get rid of all these customer support people because we don't need their work anymore, you want to get rid of the people who are really good communicators, who understand your business really well, who talk to your users on a really daily basis, and maybe have some really cool ideas that could bring you $1.4 billion in revenue? Guys, we got to stop firing all these people. This is ridiculous. So what about right here in Minnesota? What have people been accomplishing right here in Minnesota when it comes to being creative technologists and making things even better? Well, now we're going to get a little personal here, all right? So a year ago today, I came off of this very stage. This is the only photo I could really find of myself. One of the funny parts about this photo, and if somebody's really clever, they should take a photo right now, is see, that's a photo of me standing in front of another photo of me. Thank you. Anyways, and after I got off stage, I noticed that I had several women who were coming up to me saying, wow, I'm so excited to see people talking about AI and creativity. I'm so excited to see people talking, like a woman talking about AI. And it got me thinking, I feel like I haven't been meeting that many women in AI here in Minnesota, and that seemed weird. And so, like the LinkedIn lunatic I am, I made a post about it, and we had 200 women tagged in 12 hours. And suddenly, everybody was asking me. I got 40 inbound messages. I got 10 phone calls saying, hey, Carolyn, when are we meeting up? When are all the Minnesota women in AI going to get together? Carolyn, aren't you hosting panels and talks? And what about a study group, right? So we got together, and then we got together again and again and again. And then I got to show people how to vibe code on stage at MIT, which was fun. And a few days later, showed up at our AI study group with our ladies, taught them how to vibe code on Lovable. 2 weeks later, one of our members, Cat Hill Contag, she got a little cut off here. Oh, well. She won Lovable's She Builds Hackathon against, I think it was maybe 1,000 people. 1,000-ish ladies internationally. So she was beating out engineers in the Bay Area and in London and in New York and in Hong Kong. Okay. And so 3 months later, we had 8 more women apply for the same hackathon, right? We got 2 more winners. There are now more winners of this one hackathon in Minnesota than anywhere else in the world. And one of them is right there. There's Shannon right there. And I think Jenna was up there somewhere. I don't know where she ran off to. So Jenna and Shannon, they built this really incredible app helping kids learn. I'm gonna take too long butchering this, so I'm gonna skip it. But it's really cool, and it translates homework assignments into over 100 languages. It's awesome. Woo, woo, woo! But the reality is, it's not just them. Right? So we have real estate agents and videographers who are building sophisticated AI systems and apps. We have parents building recipe apps to figure out everybody's dietary preferences and allergies and things like that. We have people who are building job hunting apps, sports calendars for their local high school, K through 12 teachers building more systems for their schools, tracking our US representatives in Congress and seeing what their stock trades are. Legal plugins for IP law. We've got hundreds of women, actually, who are now, I missed the slide. That's all right. We've got hundreds of women who are now building AI tools who had never touched one of these a year ago. All right, and that's crazy town. And I ended up building this whole new membership program thing and put together a new website and a marketing campaign for roughly $300, right? We didn't have any paid ads. We didn't have any big show or anything like that. We were just using AI for marketing things, building a website, all this stuff, right? We ended up getting 50,000 views in a week with no paid ads, which was really crazy. That's a personal best. I know there's probably marketers here who've done better, but I thought that was cool. And we now have over 100 paid members, and we're about to reach 1,000 community members right here in Minnesota, which is absolutely wild. And we estimate that we've taught over 100 women how to vibe code. It helped at least 10 women get jobs in AI and helped several women launch their first apps and businesses. And we're 10 months old. All right, we're going to be wrapping up here. Get ready. So what do we need to know? How is the world going to change? All right. Well, building software content or offerings is really easy. Finding your audience is harder than ever, right? Distribution. Big companies are going all in on content in order to try to fix that distribution problem, and they're working on messaging, especially in the Bay Area. And a lot of them are hiring Hollywood teams or storytellers to fill this void, and they're paying big money for it. I think I saw a job posting paying a messaging person $700,000 a year for one of these AI companies. Organizations are still struggling to find direction and knowing what's a smart decision for the future. This is across the board, whether you're a big company, small company, the government, or in education, right? We are going to keep seeing layoffs, unfortunately. Some of this is due to AI disruption, but much more of this has to do with macroeconomics, global conflict, tariffs, and insecure executives who don't know what to do. All right, and companies are now spying on their employees to help train their models. Meta announced last week, while I was at an ethical AI event, that was really funny, that they are now going to be watching everybody's keystrokes in order to train their models so that eventually they can get rid of a lot of their employees. This is crazy stuff, you guys. Hardware companies are also prioritizing voice-activated wearables and audio devices. A lot of this has to do with WhisperFlow, but a lot of this is for ambient AI. So AI systems that are always listening and anticipating your needs, right? The idea is that they can proactively do things for you without you even asking, because they heard you say, oh no, we're out of toilet paper, and then they buy you toilet paper. On one hand, kind of cool, and on the other hand, very scary, okay? But we already have tools like this. An early version of something like this is actually the Starbucks app. Who here has the Starbucks app? A bunch of you? Okay. So the Starbucks app, it will figure out, what Starbucks you're going to in the world. It figures out your order preferences. And then based where you are in the world, it'll check the weather for you so that it knows if you want a hot or a cold coffee, right? And then it plugs in what it thinks you want in there so that you don't have to go and search for it. Another example could be smart fridges. I don't know that anybody's doing this yet. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But the idea is that maybe we have smart fridges that can scan all of the contents, see what's missing, and go and order milk for you before you forget, right? And then we're getting into some of the really cool stuff. So like real-time adaptive experiences. So Delta, I want you to really look at this GIF, okay, very carefully. Delta partnered with Detroit Airport to build a digital screen that enables dozens to view their own personalized flight and gate information on the same screen as dozens of other people without seeing details for anyone else. I believe this is like, you have to have the Delta app, and it's Bluetooth. This is one airport. It's like a pilot test. But isn't that crazy? In addition, just in case you missed it, AI-generated content surpassed human-made articles in November of 2024. We already reached that, okay? And so one of the big questions is, how are we going to verify our humanity online if there's so much content that's being made by AI bots and things like that? Sam Altman has a bet that we are all going to stare into this robotic orb and let it scan our retinas to confirm our identities. Is that a good idea? I don't know. How do we feel about biometric data? Meta also, this is a scary one, I feel like didn't get enough attention. Meta has a new model that can predict whether your brain will respond to specific content, videos, and ads. The idea is, how can we make videos even more stimulating and improve the edit to capture people's attention and keep them online? All right, they built a model for this. They can put any video into this model and ask it for improvements. All right, so we're seeing some social media backlash. Some of you maybe have read Jonathan Haidt's Anxious Generation, and countries like Australia are banning social media for kids under 16. And we're seeing stuff like that even here in Minnesota. There's a bill on the floor that for state reps, which is trying to determine whether kids under 18 should even use AI chatbots, how are you gonna enforce that? I don't know, but we're seeing this backlash, but are these systems going to become too addictive, right, before that happens for us to get off of them? Right? This is spooky stuff. Now, it used to be that AI companies were prioritizing attention over everything else. And this was especially Sam Altman's bet. Sam Altman was betting that AI was going to be the best consumer product, and he was going to get everybody making AI videos and things like that. Anthropic is winning, and Anthropic is winning because they are prioritizing productivity and getting work done, whether it's coding or other things. And other companies who go in this direction are going to be the ones who win. Because at the end of the day, people were getting mad about the AI videos and all the slop on their feeds, but they were really excited when they were able to build the business of their dreams, right? So what we need to do, what we need to build a better AI future. I made this. I was proud of this. Right now, AI has a massive messaging and leadership issue. Turns out, if you're an AI executive and you go around for years telling everybody, telling other executives, hey, we're gonna give you AI that will replace all of your employees, you're not gonna be really popular. What a surprise. And what we have here is also a leadership issue. We basically are lacking imagination and lacking creativity in figuring out how we can build a better future. So Silicon Valley is currently bracing for a permanent underclass. That's the New York Times that came out with that article yesterday, just in time for this slide. I really appreciated that, right? And in general, the AI vibes are not vibing among the public, okay? But it doesn't have to be this way. AI is actually radically more popular in countries in Asia and Africa than in the US. And this has a lot to do with the messaging, right? The belief that AI is going to help them improve their careers. It's going to help them get better results in healthcare. It's going to help them with all of these really cool things and build a better country. That's kind of what the messaging is there. But also they're building these systems differently, especially in Asia. If you look in China, they're building narrower models that just work in specific industries or for specific use cases, rather than building these giant things. And they're more sustainable. They use less compute, they use less energy, and they're cheaper. So that is also something, we have the ability to build things better. All right, we don't have to accept the future that our tech oligarchs are imposing upon us. We don't all have to become part of the permanent underclass. First of all, why on earth would it be permanent? That just seems strange to me. So we don't have to just keep our eyes on our phones and continue to not look up. Instead, we could build our own Project Hail Mary. And we can come together, we can change the rules, we can take big swings for a better future. Right? Right? All right. So, and you know what? We here in Minnesota, we know this better than most. After all, we now have a bit of a reputation for making sure that the whole world can hear us, right? So if we are able to do that, right, can we help create a better alternative future? Can we help create a better model for figuring out what does the future look like? We need more creative people to say yes and. In comedy, we have a saying called yes and, right? Where you agree to whatever the scene that you're building with your improviser and you add something to it. So if they say, I'm a pirate, and I'll say, yes and, oh my God, the ship is sinking, what are we gonna do, right? We build on it. We don't say, no, you're not a pirate, you're an octopus. That wouldn't make sense. So we're gonna yes and this future. We're gonna stop scrolling and doom scrolling, and we're gonna get up and do something about it. We're gonna come up with better ideas. We're gonna reach out to people. And I know things are really scary right now, and I know that, but this is why we need to bring people together. We know what it's like to bring people together, right? We've gotten really good at neighboring, haven't we? So we have the opportunity to create a new creative renaissance. These tools are incredible. The things that we have the ability to do are incredible. We need better ideas, better leadership, and better messaging. And we're better than right here. And there's no one better than creative technologists, right? So here's a to-do list, all right? What are we going to focus on? We're going to focus on identifying our top strengths, right? If we're worried about our careers and how we're going to move forward, what are we good at? What does the world need? Look up Ikigai on the internet. That's fun. You're going to market yourself. You're going to pitch yourself. You're going to put yourself out there. We are not going to just keep hitting the easy button for job hunting, right? We're going to educate ourselves on what's happening in AI. You don't have to use it all the time, but you should be aware and maybe trying to use the tools and seeing how they can work better for you, even if it's on a minimal level, right? We are going to use AI to help automate or augment work that we struggle with most. We can keep doing the things we like to do. Just because AI can write doesn't mean we have to stop writing. I frankly think that's ridiculous. All right, we're going to reimagine what's possible and reverse engineer this situation. And we're going to get involved in our local communities. All right. And one thing I am going to shout out here is our local public schools need our help. For those of you who are unaware, Minnesota is 49th in the nation in STEM education. Tied with Idaho. Thank you, Shannon. All right, this is ludicrous. And all of us right here, we're technologists. Whether we're creative or not, we're technologists. We understand this stuff. We know this stuff. We have the ability to make things better in our local communities, and we should be doing so, right? So AI can't come up with novel ideas, but you can. So I really hope to see you out there. Thank you, everyone.